got it from the religious side, and I also got it from that, I don't know, scholarly side too.
Yeah.
So, but when I got to jail, bro, that was when like my faith really got tested.
The more I got into religion, because once I started with Christianity, and then I started broadening into like, oh, well, this story showed up in this religion before this religion came up. I started going down the rabbit hole, and it led
Wow.
me actually to losing my faith. And then I became like, I didn't know what to call it at the time, but I ended up becoming an atheist. You talked about your religion, and I did
Mhm.
want to touch on this because, like, were you always religious? I know that at some point you said that you became um
Yeah.
Messianic Jew or something of that sort.
Yeah. So okay, the history with that, and that's been a journey. But like, yeah, so the history with that is I grew up, um, as a child growing up in school and stuff, going to a Baptist church, right? So then I was fortunate enough too to have men that I saw discuss the Bible growing up, like outside of church. You see what I'm saying? I
Mm-hmm.
was fortunate enough to like be a child witnessing that, like from childhood all the way through adolescence to going off to college to prison, like for real. So I got it from the religious side, and I also got it from that, I don't know, scholarly side too.
Yeah.
So, but when I got to jail, bro, that was when like my faith really got tested. I had to basically get into apologetics, if you will, like in a sense, because I needed to. I knew I believed what I believed, but I had to figure out how to defend it.
Mm.
But I owe it to. I ain't gonna lie, I owe it to like 5%ers. I owe it to Moore Science Temple believers. Like I owe it to Nation of Islam brothers. I owe it to Sunnis. I owe it to like Brahmins, bro. Like I've seen everybody. I didn't get a chance to practice a bunch of other faiths, but I
Yeah.
studied the tenets of a lot of them.
Yeah.
So I didn't. There was one time I had to be a quote unquote atheist or agnostic. Like I was just like overloaded with questions that I didn't understand about my own faith. And so that made me dig deep, and that's pretty much like. But that journey that was a dope journey.
I imagine.
Because yeah, bro, I got it. I mean, I'm a Libra too, so I got into the occult like crazy. Like, and again,
Yeah.
bro, you find people on the path like in there. That's what I loved about like the diversities of like thought in there, because everybody like you get to see who is creative. Because one thing that I learned about incarceration, if you let it, bro, it will allow you to tap the depth of every emotion that you have. Like fear, you gonna have it to the maximum. Like,
Yeah.
if you happy, you gonna be happy to the max. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like it might be your chicken tray day, and like it's just chicken. It's just chicken. But in there, it's chicken day. Like you feel me? Like so,
Yeah.
but when you lonely though, you're gonna experience loneliness to the max. So every emotion that you have, you're gonna max it out.
Mm.
And likewise, when it comes to creativity, you're going to max it out. Like I went from making good mash, good hooch, to cooking it off, to making clear, like that you can set on fire,
Yeah.
like
Woo.
from maxing out creativity. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Yeah. That's what's
a
up.
stinger, and put it together. But still, like
You a chemist,
that's
man.
science, bro. Like
You
it's
might
laws
have
that
an untapped scientific talent that you need to explore more. And you might.
I I probably could have been an engineer. I think if you ask people that grew up with me, they'd be like, yeah, Faraji used to make everything. Like I used to make accessories to my own toys. Like I watched the commercials on Saturday morning, and I'm like, what? Man, I'm about to take this shotgun shell and put it in a tennis ball, and I'm about to make some explosives like for my GI Joes. Like, you
Mm,
know. Yeah, I
yeah.
was that kind of kid that always did that. Like, but yeah, maybe I could have been an engineer, man. Like, who knows? And I still
Yeah.
like to make things now. Like, it's just in me. So,
I see
but
that. Yeah, for me,
yeah.
like my journey was came out the opposite because like I was like a fundamental Christian. Like I
Right.
got heavily into Christianity. Like read the Bible front and back 4 times. Like I was like page by page by page by page. I was studying under the chaplain who was like a theologian at the university in the city. I was like learning like the Greek and the translations in Greek and Hebrew and Latin. Like he was teaching me
Mhm.
all of that stuff, right? But it seemed like the more I got into religion, because once I started with Christianity and then I started broadening into like, oh, well, this story showed up in this religion before this religion
Mm.
came up. I started going down the rabbit hole, and it led
Wow.
me actually to losing my faith. And then I became like, I didn't know what to call it at the time, but I ended up becoming an atheist in the
S-
process.
s- Wow. So like, okay, yeah, that's crazy. You right. That kind of turned went you went the opposite direction. But like, what would you? Well, so my question is then. I get that, bro. Like learning, going and like learning the Greek, learning the Hebrew, like, cause I had to do all of that too. Like, I really, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say I have to, but I realize there ain't enough you can learn about any of this stuff.
Yeah, you can never learn
Like,
enough.
it's and then on like what I learned too is okay. So for me, like just like you, I kind of grew up. Like I said, I watched my granddad, and then I was in Sunday school, and but like once I started to like look at life, like I laid them all out. I laid the tenants all out, and I'm like, okay, this one says this. They all agree on certain things, like the golden rule. Like, all right, whatever.
Yeah,
So, and I see some truth in a lot of like, especially like ways to live. Like when you talk about like some of the sayings that you will find over in the East that kind of go along
coincide.
with,
Yeah,
they coincide with like Psalms or Proverbs or something like that. All right, so cool. Um, but for real, bro, like
I think
you
that like you
can't
said.
prove none of that. But my point is like
Yeah,
I can look at all of the writings, and it's like the writings are here, so that's proof that somebody wrote them. But you still have to believe all of it by faith,
yeah,
like regardless. So that's
yeah,
one of those things. Yeah, where I try. I don't know. You can't. It's one of the things where you want to just be able to understand it enough to where if somebody asks you, you ain't just like, "Oh, I believe," just simply because somebody told me to believe.
yeah.
You
Because
want to, like you
like
say, critical think.
yeah, like Muslims will probably claim like read the book and like study Islam before you reject Islam, and Christians will say read the Bible before you reject Christianity, and I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure the Hindus will say the Vishnu, or
Mhm.
the
The
Jews will say
Bhagavad,
the
yeah, Bhagavad Gita, all that.
yeah, they would all, but nobody has the time to try to consume all of the world's religious texts and try to make sense of it all, unless you dedicate your whole life to that. You ain't gonna get that as much done. But by going down my journey, it wasn't that I received some information that was like, oh, this doesn't make sense. Now I'm an atheist. It was more so it taught me to ask the right questions. And once I started asking the right questions, it didn't matter if I
Mhm.
knew Hebrew or if it didn't matter if I read the Islam. It was like I have the questions, and if you don't give me a satisfactory answer to my questions, I have no
Mm.
reason to investigate any further into your belief
Yeah,
system. You know,
got you. And that's the thing too. Like, I remember that. I remember being asked questions about my faith that I had no clue. And you know what I'm saying? I had no clue. Like, dang, bro, like that's a good, and because I've always been a thinker,
yeah,
but again, it led me to go search it out to see. So, like you, I can see how this story show up in this culture, and I go a little deeper and see why we see it there. Um,
yeah.
so like it's one of those things where you still like, no matter what you read or what you investigate, you still have to choose to believe it. You know what I'm saying? It becomes a
Yeah,
faith. It becomes a
I
like,
think my biggest thing is no matter what you believe, I just hope that it makes you a better person. Right? Like
yeah.
I'm not against anybody. If you want to believe that aliens exist and they coming to all take us one day, if it makes you a better person, as long as you ain't going out killing people or hurting people in the name of your religion, I don't have a problem with nobody. You know what I'm saying? It's not my job to go around and say you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. That makes no sense to
Mm-hmm.
me because I could be wrong.
Yeah.
if that makes sense, right? I'm not smart enough to know how the universe exists and who controls it all and who's pulling the strings. So I don't pretend like
Yeah.
I do. You know what I
So,
mean?
but what do we do though? We look, we evaluate what's been said, and we take what we want to believe to be true.
Yeah. And if it makes you better,
So,
good for you.
you know what I'm saying? So yeah, like, you know.
It
So
took me a
I
while to
think
get to that place. It took me a while to get to that place. At first, I was a little angry because I felt like I've been lied to my whole life, and I felt like I needed to. And
I've
I
been
felt,
there.
yeah. So I
I've
had to
been
grow as
there.
a person. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's where the wisdom comes in at, right? Who's the
Yeah,
wisdom?
for sure. Yeah, most certainly, man. I've been one of the kids who had to get the wound first. Like, you can't just tell me, "Oh, that fire hot." I'm like, "Yeah, right. That fire hot to you. That fire is hot to you. Let me see." But
Yeah.
but yeah, that's how I learned. But I went through all of that to, like I say, so I can take all the wounds, if you will, or like I say, talk about it and let it become your wisdom.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more. If you would like to get access to exclusive content, consider becoming a member or a patron at patreon.com/the Hobby Lobby. You can also continue the conversation by joining the Hobby Lobby Discord. You can find all the links in the description below.